Welcome to Slaughterhouse Stories. I hope you enjoy the story I have for you tonight. The Closet of Clowns. Often, we moved to different places. It was just my parents, my big brother, and me. For me, the hardest part about all this moving, I always had to make new friends every time. I mean, yeah, I'm 15 and I try to be in sports, but it's still hard. I don't quite remember everywhere we lived. There was one town we lived in that I can remember as if it were yesterday. Let's just say, I'll never look at clowns the same again. Now, before I start, I should probably tell you I'm actually an orphan. After my parents' death, my aunt and my uncle adopted me, making my cousin more like my brother. Those are the people I'm in the car with now. The first night at that house, after I did my business, I went to my room and got in bed after turning on the radio to my favorite station. I shut off the light and closed my eyes, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. So I sat up and looked around. There was nothing I could see. I just laid back down and closed my eyes. Suddenly, I heard something in the darkness of my room. What is that? Scratching? I got out of bed in curiosity to find the source. It sounded as if it were coming from the closet. I looked at it, and the door itself was still that I could see, though there was an eerie red light illuminating from under the door. I noticed that the scratching grew louder, and the knob to the closet door began to jiggle, as if someone were trying to open it, but couldn't. Out of my stupid curiosity, I went to the closet and grabbed the knob. Everything suddenly stopped. I went ahead and grabbed the flashlight kept near my bed. I flipped it on and turned the knob. Then the door burst open and blew me back at the wall. I popped up from my bed, gasping for air and breathing heavily. I put my hand on my head. Oh, it was just a dream, I thought. Then I heard the sound of crackling bones. I froze and looked over towards the closet. I saw a silhouette just standing there and staring at me. Its eyes were like matches, and they seemed as if they were trying to look into my soul. I was so scared I literally couldn't move. Soon, I built up the courage to grab the flashlight and turn it on. The figure was gone. I realized that there was a tapping noise outside my window. I decided to go check it out. I peeked through the blinds and saw the branch next to my window. That's what was making that tapping noise, I thought. I exhaled and turned. Then I looked up and screamed at the top of my lungs. There was a silhouette in the doorway. "Honey, are you okay?" a familiar voice said. The figure turned on the light. It was my mom. "I'm fine, Mom. It was just a nightmare." She walked up to me and put her hand on my forehead. "You're burning up. Lie down and get some rest," she said and led me to my bed. The next few nights were exactly the same. Creaks, scratches, the trembling of the closet doorknob, and seeing silhouettes. It got to the point that I told my parents about it. They told me not to worry, that it's probably just my mind playing games with me. I thought then that yeah, it probably was. We were completely wrong. A couple of nights later, the noises began again. I decided to just try to go back to sleep. But there was something different tonight. Whispering. That never happened before. I decided to get up and check it out. I stood there, motionless, as I felt warm breath on the back of my neck. I was paralyzed in fear. When I got the courage to turn, I saw a dark figure and I flew back. The moonlight shining through the window had shown me a face that resembled that of a clown, except the face had blood smeared all over it. It jumped at me, and I guarded my eyes. I didn't want to see that horrible, gruesome face before I died. But nothing happened. I saw it jump at me. I uncovered my eyes and looked around. Once I was able to get up and run. I ran out my door and into the hallway. I looked around. Nothing was there. I let my eyes adjust to the darkness. What I saw next was the most terrible thing I've ever witnessed. Not only did I see the clown again, but the clown was pointing up at the ceiling above me. It had a smile that I could never forget. Then, I felt a few drops of liquid fall on my head and arm. I looked up and screamed. I started to cry, because what I saw on the ceiling were my parents. There were knives stabbed into my dad. There was one through his heart, his head, the shoulder opposite the heart, and the thighs. My mom had a knife through her heart. Her mouth was sewn shut, and she was being hung, not to mention the fact that the bottom half of her was missing. I covered my mouth, horrified by the sight. I looked down. The clown was in front of me and stabbed me in the stomach. I fell back and was knocked unconscious. I woke up to the sound of police sirens and crying. Then my aunt ran over and hugged me. I cringed in pain as she accidentally touched the wound. I asked what happened, thinking and hoping that everything I remembered was just a dream, and the wound was from something else. My aunt then explained through her tears that she and my uncle would have to adopt me, seeing how they were my godparents. That night will haunt me until I die. I don't think any human could have done what happened to my parents. That gruesome night is what holds me back from ever going to a circus or a carnival. My aunt and my uncle think I should go to a psychiatrist. I don't think I'm crazy. I think what I saw actually happened, because I can still feel the breath on the back of my neck, and the eyes staring at me. That's it for tonight's story. But before we end things, check out the Slaughterhouse Stories podcast. Available at all your favorite podcast sites. So download and subscribe. Be a listener, not a victim. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed tonight's story, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay spooky.